Hi, I'm Aiden Kelly.
And I'm Jenna Dietenhofer. Welcome to Holbrook High News. This is our first show of 2014, and we hope you enjoy it.
Our top story today is about a March 22nd comedy benefit for a Holbrook woman awaiting a double lung transplant. The benefit for Marielle Lisley is now to be held at St. Joseph's Auditorium on South Franklin Street in Holbrook. Organizer Bill Farrell, Lisley's uncle, said the show had been booked for the Disabled American Veterans Hall in Braintree, but sold out quickly. The move makes another 150 seats available, he said. Lisley, 27, has suffered from chronic obstructive pulmonary disease since birth. The condition has worsened lately to the point where her lungs are performing at only 18% of their capacity. She has been added to the transplant list at Duke University Medical Center in North Carolina. Lisley moved there with her father, Dennis, last month because of a shorter wait for donor organs. The fundraiser is scheduled to begin at 7 p.m.
Headlining the comedy show is Frank Santarelli, who played George on The Sopranos. Also featured would be Adriana Henry and Dan Miller. Hosting the event will be broadcaster Butch Sternings and his brother Derek, host of Rock Solid and Indoors Out on the DIY network. The event will also feature a silent auction, with a preview beginning at 6:30 p.m. Tickets for the show are $20 per person and can be obtained by calling Farrell at 781-915-4980 or his wife, Gidget, at 781-801-6333. Donations to help cover some of the costs related to Lively's treatment can be made on the helphopelive.org website and typing in Marielle Lively's name. Here is hoping for a successful fundraiser.
It will be up to the Holbrook voters on April 1st whether to back a proposal by officials to remove the police chief's position from civil service. The Board of Selectmen on February 21st approved a ballot question for the annual town election calling for the town to rescind a 1987 vote that placed the police chief position into civil service. The action comes on the heels of William Marble Jr. stepping down as chief earlier this month after he and selectmen could not reach an argument on his contract. Marble returned to the sergeant's position and retired Randolph Police Chief Paul Broster was tapped to serve for 30 days on an interim basis. Officials explained that taking the police chief's position out of civil service allows for a better selection of candidates and speeds up the process. Recently, the Holbrook Sun received a letter from Officer Dan Ford on behalf of the Holbrook Patrolmen's Association. In his letter, Officer Ford asked the people of Holbrook to vote against taking the chief's police position out of civil service. Ford stated in doing so it could create a less stable environment within the police department.
Selectman Chairman Timothy Gordon said that only about 75 Bay State communities still have their police chief under civil service. He noted that civil service administrators just one police chief test a year. By pulling out of civil service gives us greater flexibility and control of the process, Gordon said. Under civil service, there are some restrictions. Gordon also said by taking the chief out of the purview of civil service does not affect Holbrook police officers who want to be considered for the position. By pulling out of civil service in no way limits our officers from being candidates, he said. Phelan added that the police chief, whether the position is under civil service or not, is still appointed by the selectmen who act the personnel board for the town. This sounds like it's shaping up to be a hot topic. So here's a friendly reminder from us here at Holbrook High News. Get out and vote, Holbrook. Town elections are slated for Tuesday, April 1st.
Which brings us to our next story. Holbrook's upcoming election has a few heated races to fill open seats. We will begin the school committee. The incumbent chairperson, Barbara Davis, is running for the re-election along with Arthur George, Stephen Gallagher, and Richard Stagnon. The race between the four candidates is to fill 2 openings on the board. One spot belongs to Davis, while the other is vacated by John Callahan, who has chosen not to run for re-election. This race should be an interesting one. We here at Holbrook High News assume that the key topic for these seats will be the candidate's position on the new school building project. I for one hope they are all for it.
A few seats on the Board of Selectmen are also up as well. We have 2 different races to inform you about. The first is to fill the last year of former selectman Brisley Fuller's term. Fuller moved out of Holbrook a few months ago, leaving a seat on the board vacant. The 2 candidates running to fill the last year of that seat are Robert Austin and Dan Moriarty Jr. The race is not to be confused with another race for 2 other openings on the Board of Selectmen. Incumbents Tim Gordon and Matt Moore are both seeking re-election. They will run against the Holbrook police officer John Kearney. This is a race of 3 candidates vying for 2 seats. The last contested race to inform you about is for a seat on Holbrook Housing's Authority. The 2 candidates running are Paul Anastasio and Thomas Merling. If you are interested in learning more about the candidates running for selectmen and school committee, please join the Holbrook Parents Group on March 19th at 6:30 p.m. This event will allow the community to hear from each candidate on some important issues.
Let's turn it over to Brian Stu for a look at sports.
Thanks, Aiden. We have a lot here going on in sports. To start off, the girls' varsity basketball team made the state tournament this season after a very successful season, finishing 2nd in the Mayflower Athletic Conference, only behind the mighty West Bridgewater team. The girls' basketball team did not have a whole lot of luck in the tournament, losing to the Greater New Bedford Lady Bears 64-28. The girls gave their best, but were shorthanded, losing 3 players to suspension. The girls gave their best, and you saw some of the potential from the girls, from the young players on the team, and it was a good effort, but it wasn't enough in the end. But next season should be good for the girls and the boys teams, as we look forward to that in the future. Anyway, on to spring sports. The boys varsity baseball team made the state tournament last year and are hoping to have similar success this year. With most of the team returning, except star Ben Reardon, there is a lot of reason to have hopes and dreams for this baseball team coming up. Most of the team back, and most of the players want to make it beyond just the first round. They want to make a legit run at a championship. So it should be very interesting there. A lot of the core talent on this team is back, and some of the younger players with experience. So I would expect big things from the boys' baseball team this year. And finally, in softball, many returning seniors this season, including star Abby Eads. So it should be very interesting with the softball team, hoping for a lot of success and another tournament berth. And finally, the track team coming back, hoping for some individual success with Coach Andrew Flanagan. So the track team, we'll see what happens there, as they're hoping we get some those returning seniors. Anyway, thank you guys, and we're going to send it back to the studio. That's the end of sports.
Thanks, Brian. Once again, with a great segue to our final story. Our very own Brian DeStoop recently spent some time in the hot seat. He was a contestant on WGBH's quiz show, Baseball Edition. For the sounds of it, Brian was swinging for the fences to help his team win. Check out the show on April 5th, 6 p.m. only on WGBH. That about does it here for us at Holbrook High News. For Jenna Dietenhopper, I'm Aiden Kelly. Until next time, Holbrook. Sign off!